Welcome, everybody, to Panfish Nation. Along with Mark, I'm Lyle. And Mark, I haven't fell on my ass today yet.
No, neither have I. I have not either. I made it through the day, not falling or not having a. You do you think should we send him a life alert? Wait a minute. I'm trying to be nice here.
I hope he's okay. It looks a little rough, man.
Thoughts and prayers to Chadwick, everybody.
That makes up for you guys.
Here, I'm gonna give it an oh my god. There you go.
That makes up for them guys hounded me about them dying bluegill Monday night.
Mm-hmm. They did give you the business on Monday night.
Yeah, I think our guest was wondering what the hell were they talking about.
That was a good show though. I was watching it in the background there and listening in, and there wasn't pretty much a lot of the stuff he was talking about shallow river fishing. I totally agree. He knows what he's talking about 100%.
I have a question for you before we get all wound up.
Too late. I'm already wound up.
Okay. You had a pretty good day catching wipers and stuff today.
Yeah, it's been like that for the past 3 weeks here. As soon as the water gets below 50, you can't keep them off your line. But today, I got on the big girls. I was pretty happy. All of them, I got two that were at 11 inches. Everything else was bigger. And the best one I got was a new PB, was like 17 and a half inches, which is big for these parts.
Oh, yeah.
Which is big for these parts. And that thing had some shoulders on it. I could swear it was like 6 inches wide at the shoulders. It was crazy. Dang. Too bad I don't like to eat them, or else we'd be eating them for a few days. But it was crazy. I got a mouse in my pocket or something, Lyle.
Jesus. Yeah.
I stopped counting around 20. I think I got right around 30 or something there in like 3 hours. It was nonstop. I'm like, oh, it's time to go home. I got like 4 crappie that would come by. This time of year, crappie are kind of suspended, like I said, in the basin. So when one would come by, you would see one at 15 feet, 20 feet. And I was fishing in like 27 feet of water. I'd raise the bait up there and go after it. I managed to get 4 to eat. And other than that, it was just white bass and wiper central. It was a good day. We had a lot of fun. The wind wasn't so bad, even though I'm like all windburned, but it was still good. So I got out there for about 4 hours. I had a good time. So I'm glad I did.
We had a great day on the water day, not catching panfish, but we did catch some fish, and some of them are pan size.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a great day, and the wind wasn't terrible, which makes it so much more enjoyable for me, because if the wind's blowing, you got to screw with that trolling motor constantly.
Yep.
And kind of do anyhow, but that's just part of it. But man, we got one more good day, and I'll be cleaning fish instead of fishing tomorrow because they're in a lot.
Oh, here's a news flash. Chad says he's on his way to the hospital.
That's not good.
That's not good. Hopefully you're all right, Chad, and only your pride's hurt.
Prayers, buddy. I have a message here. I'm getting echo feedback.
I don't hear an echo.
I do. It sounds like I hear your speakers through there.
Let me turn mine down a little bit and see what happens. I know there's a bug on StreamYard with Chrome. I'm on Firefox, so I am not getting it.
Okay. I don't get it now. I don't hear it.
Guerrero says no echo too, so.
Okay.
Creel says no echo there. What do you say I shout out everybody in chat?
Let's do that.
Let's do this here. Come on, top chat. No, I want to get all live chat. All right, here we go. Oh, look at this. We got a whole slew of people in here. Welcome, everybody. I see Lynn over at Catfish Fever and Outdoors. What's going on, Lynn? How you doing, bud? Chunky's here. I think it's Chucky's birthday today.
Happy
birthday, Chunky. Happy birthday, young man. I bet you know what? When you get to be old like me, I know you're just turning 49, my friend. when you get to be old like me, you start to feel it. But happy birthday regardless. What's going on, Cindy? How you doing, dear? Crappie Day Fish On channel supporter. What's going on, my friend? Creole Catfishing. How you doing, Jeremy? Dale Hayslip in the house. David Smith in the house. Chad, get over to the hospital and hopefully you start feeling better, bud. Sorry to hear about that. We got Fishing with Jeff Beal. What's going on, Jeff? Guerrero Bagre in the house. There's our buddy, the Saint James Alba. How you doing, James? Channel members and supporter Joe Buck 66. There's our buddy Tom over at LG Bass. How you doing, Tom? Mike Sampson in the house. Missy Kennedy is here. What's up, Missy? Nubby's Catfishing. Parker Pursuits. Sean T Outdoors. What's going on, Mr. Sean? Small Water Charters. How you doing, John? And there's Kelly from the Bullock Experience. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show.
Glad to have everybody in here tonight.
I told you I was wound up already.
You are. That's good. So let's talk about presentation for bait.
Yeah, especially this time of year. Lyle, take a guess at what the water temp was today. Where I was.
I knew what it was where I was at.
I want you to guess what mine is.
I'm going to say 40.
Close, 44 degrees. And
mine's a little warmer.
A little warmer than that, I bet. When you're fishing cold water like that, you got to slow it down.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% correct.
You got to slow it down.
And it doesn't matter what you're fishing for.
They still want to see, at least when I'm fishing, I like to have a little action in the baits that I'm trying to present. So rather than, jigging up and down, I'll actually, shake the rod ever so gently and get a little shake in it, because at plastics or hand ties, they're going to vibrate. But one of the best ways to do that this time of year, because it's usually windy if you're out on open water, at least in my neck of the woods, is with a float.
Yes.
Get yourself a slip float, set it up to the right depth. How you figure that out, everybody does it different. I use a 7.5 foot rod when I'm casting a slip bobber, so I'll use lengths of the rod. Like today I was fishing 30 feet today, so I knew 4 lengths of the rods to get them down there. 4 lengths, 3.5 lengths of the rod. Just moving that stopper up that high, man, it makes for a pain in the butt to cast, but that's another story. I would get those bait down at the bottom, and when I'd see them fish coming by a little bit higher on sonar, I would raise it up and get it to them. But the slip bobber lets you do that, so I was able to go from a slip bobber presentation to an actual vertical jigging presentation, which helped today, definitely.
Yeah, my water temperature at the boat dock, at the boat ramp, was 59 degrees. And in the back of the cove where we was fishing, it was 62.
I don't remember 62-degree water temperature, Lyle.
It was only a couple weeks ago, Mark.
No, it wasn't. It was like 2 months ago, I think, bud. It's been in the 50s now for a while. What's up, Jeep Fish? How you doing? Miss Annette's in the house. How you doing, Miss Annette? I want to make sure we don't forget them.
That's for sure.
No, seriously, it's been like 2 months. It's been below 50 for the past 2 months. Since the beginning of October, maybe even a little sooner than that. It's been crazy cold. So what kind of situations are you using floats for presentation?
I love slip bobbers. I do. I like them a lot. And I have some that are not. But I like the slip floats a lot better. I like jigging without a bobber. I probably catch the majority of my bluegill that way. And bass, little bass, most of them too small to eat. They're little. But sometimes you got to beat them off of your jig to catch the bluegill. And I don't know why. Now, and I'm going to tell you something, Mark, and I may have mentioned this to you, but I haven't told the people on here, I don't think. All summer, I was catching all my bluegill on hand ties. And I caught them all summer that way. And it got to where it was slowing down. and I tried some tube jigs, 1-inch tube on jig heads, and then plastics come alive. I was catching the numbers that I was on the hand ties in the summer off of them plastic tube jigs. And I got to hand it to James. He's the one that told me. James Dockery said, man, try to use some of them. He said, but get the smallest ones you could get. I didn't know they made them in 1-inch length. I thought there was like 1.25 inches, 1.5, the smallest thing you found. But I found some that was 1 inch, and they work fabulous. So that's what I've been using the last, month, I guess. And of course, usually when I go down to the spot that I go to catch the majority of my fish, I'll take at least 2 rods, and the fly rods are not doing anything right now down here. And I know Kim Burnett's still catching the hell out of them on fly rods, but I'm not. But the spot I go is a little tough to use a fly rod anyhow, but I've been doing it. But these guys are going wild over them tube jigs, and I wonder if that'll stop in the spring, or if it's a cold weather thing, or I really like using the hand ties. I really do, because I can make them any size I want, and use any size jig head I want. But these are right now they're just killing it, and I have not been able to make myself use a bobber with that. I know that'll work too, but in this little river that I'm fishing, it has current, but there's nothing to make waves, so the bobber moves around. You got to jerk your line to get it in there. But that's what's been working for me. And now Cindy goes sheet, flip cork, and a worm on a hook. She catches the fire out of them that way. And why would you say don't do that when you're catching them like that? But she'll catch probably twice as many usually as I do. But I just want to catch them on jigs.
James says, I got to find bobber stopper that doesn't hang up on the end tip of my rod. That's a problem I have all the time too, Lyle. I use the cloth ones. I've tried using the rubber neoprene ones, and they always kind of get stuck.
Yeah.
What helps for me is, if you take those cloth ones that you get from the store, like Walmart, you can buy them, the string ones, the yellow string ones, and you pull it extra hard, you'll hear a little pop when they're real tight. When they get to be, snug down that tight, you can cut them right down to the knot, and they won't come off. They won't come apart. But you got to get that little pop in them. And that's probably the best way to do it. If you leave any little bit of left over on that string bobber stop, it'll get caught up in your spool, especially on a spinning reel. Between the lines, it's almost like having a backlash. It's just makes your life miserable. So the closer you can get to cutting that knot, the better you're going to be. The rubber ones, I have a bunch of those. I bought a bag of 1,000 of those, Lyle, but I'll use them. I'll use a double bobber stop, and then I'll put an egg weight, whether it's an 1/8, quarter, up to a 1/2 ounce, depending on how fast I'm trying to get down and how deep. And I'll put 2 on the bottom of that, and I'll use those to pin an egg sinker on my line. That helps, so I can get baits down quick if I'm fishing, if I'm jigging in deep water, which I wish I had them today, but I didn't. Some of the other uses for bobber stops in your presentation, so that works good too. Some people just leave that egg sinker slide up and down and tie a swivel on their line, and use that to stop the bobber from going all the way to the jig head, because that'll cause you some problems too. Less knots I got to tie, the better. I hate tying knots, Lyle. I ain't gonna lie.
Welcome, Greg. Glad to see you in here. Freddie's joined us. Glad to see you guys in chat. I have this will stop you from all of the knot tying. These are crimp pliers, and you crimp your line with them little aluminum crimps.
Mm-hmm.
You won't have to tie no knots.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and they're reasonable. You can get your card out after a while, and we'll go buy you some.
All right, we'll get right on it afterwards.
Avid's joined us. Welcome, Avid.
What's going on, Avid? How you doing, bud?
But yeah, that's the crimp thing. When you get to where your fingers don't work like they're supposed to, especially with heavy line, I use a lot of 60 and 80-pound line for leader material if I'm in rocks. Not because the fish are that big, it's just because it's a little bit more abrasion resistant.
Right.
And the crimp works better for me than trying to get that stiff line to move around and with knots and stuff. And unless I'm snelling something, but you know.
And you mean for catfish mainly, right?
I do. You could use that crimp tool on any size line.
Really?
Absolutely. They make them. The holes are so small. I got to have a magnifying glass to see to run it in and out of them. Sometimes they're so. But yeah, 6-pound test easy. I've not tried it on anything smaller than that, but I mean, you mash it completely shut, so. Well, I would be worried about it weakening the smaller thread, though.
You know, funny you mentioned 6-pound test. I'm trying to standardize all my panfish / crappie rigs or combos, right? And I've decided to go with a 6-pound test, so that works pretty good. I just need to find that Sufix Elite in a color other than the high vis green, because I'd like to have multiple colors off the back of my boat. A tip that I picked up just here recently is to have multiple color lines out the back of your boat when you're long lining, so when you get a mess, it's easy to untie.
Yeah, I got you.
The guy that was talking about the tip, he was what was he using? Slime line, I guess, but I don't use slime line, so I don't know. Maybe I'll buy one to check it out. So hey, there's Freddie. Maybe I'll get something from Freddie and try that out.
Yeah. Hey, there's Stephanie. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. How you doing, dear?
I've got a roll of slime. Oh, Betty Jean's joined us. I have a roll of slime line that I got just for making leaders because I don't use my film. That's dumb. But stretching that stuff is amazing. If you like stretchy line, that's the stuff to get. It'll stretch and stretch. If you're hung up, it's hard to break it off. It's not as hard with leaders, but I had some on some of Cindy's rods. And my God, you walk from one end of the boat to the other, and it still won't break. Can't get it to break off. So that's one. I just, I'm not a mono guy. When they come out braid, I wipe my hands in monofilament except for leader material. But that's just me. A lot of people like it. Doc Lime, he thinks it's the greatest stuff since toilet paper. Good on him. He catches a lot of fish,
Whatever works for whoever's using it, that's what gives you the confidence. We had that show just not too long ago. So.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You're 100% correct.
I personally like the Sufix leader material. It ain't cheap, but it gives me confidence to use. So I use that quite a bit.
Parker says those crimps work on that saber-tooth tiger hair leader. Wow, uses. Oh, Jerry. You guys, thanks a lot, Jeremy. Woolly mammoth hair.
You're so mean to you, Lyle.
I know. I'm nothing but nice to these guys.
I know. You talk so nice about them when we're backstage and this, and then you get all of this grief.
Hey, that's okay. I wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, that's my favorite way. If I'm just going an easy day, you could sit there on the bank and find you some place that's loaded up with gills or crappie or something, or a slip bobber, and you can use anything you want. I mean, if you want to use jigs, you can do that. If you want to use live baits, you can do that. One of the most productive ways that I ever caught crappie was with live minnows, and I've caught them on jigs and stuff. and that's fun. I like doing it that way. But if you're meat hunting, just to eat them, a minnow's hard to beat, man. They really are.
I've had times when they wouldn't bite minnows though, and I'd pull out a hair ties or plastics, and I could get them to bite on there though.
Really?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with like presentation. Again, we've gone over this quite a bit. And presentation and silhouette and even color, because you can't get a minnow in chartreuse or pink. No. I guess you could get red rosies. They sell them over here once in a while. But you know what I mean? That could have something to do with it too.
Hey, Ricky, thanks for coming in tonight. Glad to see you in here. But hey, there's a lot of different things, and another thing James Dockery done for me. He came down to visit one time, and him and I got to talking about these little bitty plugs that he cast and catch bluegill on. Well, road runners and stuff like that's the only thing that I'd ever done that with, beetle spins and things. And when they left that morning, I guess he went to Walmart and he tied a bag of them little dudes on my door of my truck. And I have yet to catch a bluegill or anything on them, but I catch them little bass on them to beat the band. But, it amazed me that you could cast them so easy. But casting in the wind, if it's windy, and it has been the last several times I've been, it doesn't seem to matter what you're doing if it's not a 16th ounce or bigger jig. The wind just blows it back at you almost. So
I like fishing into the wind, so that'll usually happen quite a bit too. So a float makes it a little bit easier, because if you're casting out and retrieving, it's hard to get that bow out of line, even if you're off center just even a littlest bit, and you're going to miss a lot of bites and such. So it's even hard to feel the bottom when you're using light tackle too. Like I said, if I'm in 15 feet of water and I'm throwing a double jig rig and trying to feel for the bottom, so I know, to come back up like a ledge, it makes it kind of difficult, definitely, which is another reason why I float.
Yeah. Parker says, dip those minnow tails in plastic dye used for dyeing soft baits. Wonder if that would work. But here's a better one. That I can't never pronounce that guy's name. Makes a fire dye in chartreuse for live bait.
Interesting. I'll stick to plastics. I'm not dyeing anything in my boat. That carpet's still too darn clean, Lyle.
I got you. Yes, Avid, I do make 1/80th. I don't make them. I buy those from a guy, but they're pretty tiny.
You mentioned this stuff that Dockery got you. What were the name of those jigs that he
they wasn't jigs? They was casting plugs.
Oh, okay. We got a local guy here that makes chicken jigs, I believe. I think he's local.
Chicken jigs.
They're the tiniest little jigs, and I got like 3 of them left in my tackle box. So when things are really tight and not working out the way I want, I'll put one of them on there. They're pretty much just like a 1/80th or a 1/100th ounce jig head. What are the ones where they just wrap the fur, not the fur, but the feather around at the neck of the jig? What do you call those jigs?
Popeye jigs.
Popeye jigs. They're little tiny Popeye jigs that work really well. Those work pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't never seen any of them, I don't guess.
Of course, beetle spins. And we had a company out here that I used to catch a lot of crappie on when I was a kid. Mr. Pinky, you ever hear of them, Lyle?
No.
They're pretty much, they had like 8 different types of crappie jigs, underspin, without underspin, like a beetle spin, but their thing is they were all pink and silver, all of them. And they worked well.
Hey, if they're catching fish on them, I don't care. Doesn't matter. That's the whole deal.
Now back to like bobber presentation. Here's something that I've done in the past too, and I know that Betty Jean does this too. She calls them planer bobbers or bobber planers, something like that. But I'll use them when I would fish in my old boat, this little electric only lake that's right down the road from me. I would put like the biggest weighted cigar float on there, about 7 feet above the jig. and pull those behind when I'm log lining, and I'll be able to keep those baits out of the weeds. And in the summer, dead of summer, that's where those fish are hiding. So that was definitely something that I like to do. And also it's another strike indicator that's in the water.
That's for sure, yeah. And that's always a good thing if you can anything you can see and keep your eye on will help you catch more fish, usually. Freddie says micro grubs are great. But yeah, I right now, you talked about slowing down presentations, and I agree with that 100%. The colder the water gets, the more you need to slow down, and that's where bobber fishing and stuff comes in handy. It really does, because you know they're there's not much slower than a bobber with a hook sitting on it. That's about as slow as it gets. And if you need a little movement, you just give it a little jiggle, and that's how it works.
Give him a little twitch, especially if you're fishing like brush piles and stuff. And I know Doc will attest to this, because I know he's the kind of guy that'll hang that jig off of that dock that one of the many docks he fishes, and he just holds that jig right there. And that's something I'm learning is rather than to try and entice a bite, make it so they just can't resist by staring at it forever. So, which is a good way of doing it, and definitely a bobber will let you do that, especially if you're fishing off a boat or something that's moving, and so on, because it's kind of hard to hang a jig off the side of the boat when the wind's blowing you all over the place, or when spot lock's moving you, or when you're not so good at boat control, which I would know anything about. So
I would. And them windy days, you better have some boat control. You might as well just hold on to the remote for your trolling motor, because you're going to be screwing with it all day. So you might as well just hang on to it. And
I need to lose one of these days. I'm going to pull that darn pedal out for my trolling motor and learn how to use that, because I've never used my pedal control, but I know a lot of really successful fishermen, they swear by being able to control with their feet while they're fishing with their hands. So,
well, there's times I think it would be easier, but I don't know. I was never very good at using one of those. And you'd think being a drummer and having your feet going all the time, it would have come easy, but it never did for me.
Freddie's got a question. Freddie says, pencil bobbers, peg floats, or slip bobbers? What's your favorite? Lyle, lean over real quick so they can see behind you. The other way. That right there, that's a picture of my bobber box. So, yeah, I got them all.
Me too.
I got them all. My favorite one is fishing shallow water with a spring bobber, a thill, little 5/8 inch diameter, I believe it is. That's my favorite way to go, but that doesn't mean I won't use anything else.
Hey, Tim Molina. Yeah, about the only ones that I don't have is I don't have very many of the little round bobbers, the red and white ones. I don't have hardly any of it. And there's nothing wrong with them. I just like the others better.
Yeah, the little, you're talking about like the plastic ones, the old fashioned kind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the little ones that you'd see in that box behind you. Those are foam. I'll use a foam one that looks like that, but it's like an all plastic one. I'm usually not using it. So
yeah, I just don't have anything that I desire them for. But that's just, like I say, that's just me. A lot of people use them and get away with them. It's a great thing for kids because it helps them learn to cast a little bit further. So I think that unless the wind's blowing, of course, but I think that put a little weight on one and give them a Barbie fishing rod or something like that, and let them learn to cast. You start them out in the yard and then take them in a boat or on the bank, and let them catch some fish. It's got to be better than them playing them games and dicking with a phone and all that stuff that these kids do. They need to be outside breathing fresh air and learning how to catch fish and clean them and cook them. I mean, holy crap. What's this world coming to?
Parker says he likes a marabou jig under a float. It's one of his favorite methods in the winter dead sticking it. Yep.
I'm sure that's right. You get a lot of action off marabou.
Yeah, well, it's got that movement in the water, especially it's very fluid. I guess there's no better way to describe it.
That's exactly right.
Avid says he loves balsa wood bobbers. Those are few and far between, Avid. They're really hard to find. They used to quit making them not too long ago. They upped the prices and they started making them all out of a composite material now, I believe. Especially the thills. Those floats will cost you a lot of money too these days. You can get ridiculous with some of the cost of them.
That's a fact. I could turn some down. I have a wood lathe, but I can't find any balsa wood around here.
I'm sure any hobby store would have it. They sell that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Any place that has model airplane stuff, they use.
Well, next time I'm at Hobby Lobby, I'll check them out.
Bingo.
They used to be a exotic wood store here, and they had it, but
you're gonna pay for it there.
I'm sure you're right, but they had.
You know what? We'll go on Menard's website after the show, and we'll get your credit card.
No. That's too much fun, isn't it? Yeah, I'm ready to catch some crappie too. We haven't been crappie fishing in a while, and we catch a lot of bluegill, and we eat a few of them, and we use some for bait. And I like using them. Very hardy fish. They'll live a long time. You don't have to do a lot to take care of them. Catch a couple of crickets out of the yard and throw in there for them to eat, and you're good to go. You know what I mean? But I'm right now. I know the crappie are on fire in our neck of the woods. Eric Massey was our guest last week, and he talked a little bit about that. And Eric's been catching a lot of crappie. He's been on the walleye too. But hell, I have to. Whenever I'm crappie fishing, I have more trouble keeping the walleye off than I do catching crappie.
Well, I'd rather have a problem keeping the walleye off than the white bass. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh,
because I'll throw those in the box. I got no problem with that. I talked to our friend Jake over at Jigging to Jake this week a little bit.
Oh yeah, how's he doing?
Good. I wanted to see how he's doing really good. I wanted to see what the fishing was like down by him. He's in Central Illinois, like halfway to Red Lake, and he was saying they're having a rough year down there too. I went out Monday looking for crappie. I got blown all over the place after white bass. White Bassapalooza on the lake. It was ridiculous. But anyways, I ducked out into a channel. I kind of figured the fish weren't in there, but I'm going to go in there and get a break from the wind and just see what's going on in there. So I go in there, and there's a gentleman that I talk to once in a while. He has a boat right on that channel. Actually, it's a canal. We call them channels here. And he was saying, asking me if I was doing any good. I told him what was going on. And he says, yeah, same thing here. He had just come in. He says he hasn't seen the crappie in the channels or the canals all year. They haven't come in. And he lives on the thing. You figure he would know.
Yeah, you'd think so.
So I guess this weird weather that we had this year threw them for a loop. So I think a lot of people are having a hard time. I'm seeing a few come up here and there, not too much. I got on like 6 last week. I don't know. I'll put it on the not catching crappie excuse shirt, I guess.
Well, I see these guys out crappie fishing. There was a lot. I was shocked as many boats was on the water today on midweek. There was probably 30 boat trailers in the parking lot when we got there. And I told Cindy, I said, hell, there won't be nobody up there. Well, that was not the case at all. But, they didn't really bother us. There was 4 or 5 of them big go fast boats out, making big old mondo waves while we was trying to fish. But no sea-doos. But yeah, it these warm days brings everybody out.
We had 2 paddle boarders out today by me where I was fishing. Lyle.
Nice.
I have no idea what's wrong with these people. But anyway, whatever makes them happy.
What did you say the water temperature was? 35, 40?
No, it was 45 degrees.
45. I'm telling you, that's still a little lippy.
And they're standing on a darn surfboard with a paddle in their hand.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. That'd be like getting me on ice. It ain't gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
I assume Avid's talking about water being low. I've not ever seen ponds. There's ponds that I see dried up now with no water in them, and they're losing all their fish. And I've never seen these ponds dry before, and they're dry this year. We need rain bad. All the lakes are low. Lake Ozark, they started running water out of it for winter pool. Dumbest thing I ever heard. They're doing that. They do it everywhere. Corps of Engineers has no business having control over them dams. But anyhow, they run it down. The lake is probably 4 foot low or more, and Palm de Terre 6 foot or something like that. And the Stockton is in terrible shape. There's a lot of ramps that's not even usable on Stockton Lake. And that's too bad because that lake is full of good channel cat, lots of crappie and bass. But it's probably 15 foot or more low. And Truman, of course, I haven't been on it, but last time I knew it was about 8 foot low. It won't be long before a lot of these ramps are going to be unusable if we don't get some water in them. It's just terrible. That has nothing to do with presentation. It's just a fact of the way it is. You have to back your boat in so far, your trailer in so far to load the boat that water comes over the back of it. Things are in bad shape.
Yeah. You know how we were talking about how a ramp ends, Lyle, and you drop off of that ramp?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the ramps that I went by, what was it, on Monday? The water was down past that. So it's low here. They're letting that water out way too fast, thinking it was going to rain, but it ain't. You know, 2 feet of water here makes a heck of a difference. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. When your water appears low anyhow at best. So, yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, you're talking about them ramps. That's the best way I know of to rip an axle out of a trailer. Dropping off the back of one of them.
No, I don't want to do that.
No. Nope. Because then you got to drag it out on the frame.
Yes, sir. And I only got a single axle, so I'm in deep doo-doo if I do that. So
Parker said the woods are crazy dry. Deer sound like cattle walking through them. That's unusual because deer are pretty quiet usually. Squirrel makes a lot more noise. Deer does normally.
You think Jerry will bring us some beef, some deer jerky to Mendota next year?
I think he ought to.
I think he needs to.
Maybe some deer summer sausage too.
That'll work too.
Well,
so you gonna get out tomorrow, Lyle?
No, I've got. I think I brought back 5 little blues today. Some of them were 24 inches.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of smaller ones, but they're in my live well. I'm going to stay home and clean those tomorrow. Unless I get a wild hair and get it done real early, because we're getting ready to have some cooler weather, not as cool as what you're having. And we do have some rain coming in the next couple of days, so we'll see how that works.
I'm looking at we got decent weather here. Next Monday and Tuesday is going to be a little rain, but I might be able to get out on the weekend. So Friday is going to be nice. It'll be a little chilly. It'll be 49 degrees, but it'll be cloudy, which is what I like, depending on the wind and stuff. So
Greg Burgess says, hello. Wow, down here we're about 30 inches or more down. A severe drought. Yes, it is. That's bad. But that's one thing that we can't control.
Tim, I'm not highlighting that comment.
I just seen it when you said that. Oh man, yeah, that's kind of something. That's something.
I think Tim just said it's all dried and shriveled, didn't he? Because we were talking about jerky. Yeah.
I'll James Arbaugh, I will forward that to Mark after. Well, I might be able to do it now. Let's see. Nope. I'll do that. I'll send it. I'll forward it to him so he can take a look at that. James sent me a picture of a fish he wants you to see. So
cool. We'll check it out.
Yeah, I think it's a striper. Good one. You'll enjoy that. Well, so, are you catching and releasing all these fish that you caught today?
Yeah, I ain't eating them. They taste like garbage to me.
Yeah, kind of like
they don't taste bad. The meat's pretty good, Lyle, but it's just got a funny aftertaste. I don't know what it is about, white bass and wipers and stuff, but they taste like what I imagine drum would taste like.
Shit.
You said it.
Yeah. These guys all the time talking about how good these drum are. They're just nasty. That's all. If you got the choice between a drum and a catfish and a crappie, what are you going to eat? It ain't going to be that damn drum.
Yep, I might have to go out and get me a couple of channel cats. My wife won't touch them, but I sure as heck will.
I like catfish. Creole, she's in there with Cindy. She did. Star is Cindy's puppy, and she mostly stays with her under a blanket right beside her all the time. Now, when Cindy goes to bed, usually around 9 every night, she's an early go to bed person, and she locks Star in here with me because I stay up late and then I can take her out before I go to bed. Usually around 12, 1, 2, somewhere along there. Depends on how things are, what I got going on. But that's when her and I have our time. But the rest of the time, she normally, unless I've had something to eat in here. Now, if there's paper rattles and she thinks there's a snack, zoom, here she comes. Parker says hybrid stripers make the best black fish. Yeah. That'll give you something to try, Mark.
We call them wipers, and that's what I was catching today for the most part. So,
I was thinking something else. You said wiper.
Oh,
here, come here, Star.
And Creole says that drum is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Gasper goo, right?
That's right. They don't call them goos for nothing. Come here so Laura can see you.
Let's see. Little Star.
Come on. Cindy took her collar off over
her harness.
Harness is too big, so she's gonna have to get her small one. But the one she had on was too small. Don't look me in the face.
Is she getting better for you, Lyle?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you had her on the boat yet?
No, but Cindy keeps saying she's going to take her on her. She's afraid she'll get a hook or something. Which that happened to Rusty one time, but it actually didn't get in his eye. It got on his eyelid. Oh yeah, he jerked that rod completely off my lap and took off running the other end of the boat. And when I looked down, it looked like that was right in there in his eye. And quit licking me. And when I got to him, it was just, it didn't go with the barb, didn't go in or nothing, but it was right in his eyelid. And that was the last trip he went. He bailed out of the boat one time when he was about 9 weeks old. Turn the boat around, go back, he's swimming in circles.
Laura DeFore says, Creole said that you had a cute dachshund, Mr. Lyle. I agree. Parker says, now that's a fine looking dachshund there, Lyle. And Tim Molina says, throw it in the pot, Korea. No one knows the difference. think he's talking about Gaspard goo.
I think so. Yeah. Oh man, I know there's a lot of people that eat them, and I've ate them, but it's got to be a last resort deal. But they're pretty bony. But if you uh, bake them in an oven, they're not as bad that way. Deep fried, they're just not very good.
What, the drum?
Compared to everything else. And I'm thinking anything would be good deep fried, but not goose.
You know what they say about fish like that, right? You put them on a board and smoke them, throw the fish out and eat the board.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Now, Greg Burgess says, Creole, you got that right. They don't have the quality of fish we do. That's all I got to say. And Tim says, I think red drum are okay. I haven't had those.
I haven't either, but it's still a drum. How much different could it be? Salt water versus fresh water? I don't know. I'd try it.
I'd try to try anything once.
Will you stop?
What's going on, Dan? How you doing?
Time for you to go.
So I'm going to try and get out on Friday. I'm still undecided on what I'm going to chase, whether it's going to be, go after more crappie on the south end of the chain, or if I'm going to hit the river and just get on a channel cat bite. So
hey, you did catch the crappie, right?
I got like 4, but they weren't worth taking home to clean. They were all kind of
right,
small.
but you catching them.
Yeah, we're catching them still, yeah. But these Lyle, they must be feeding up because I was using 3.5-inch plastics today, and they were these little 10-inch crappie.
Creel says red drum tastes extremely different. I've always heard they're really good.
Mm-hmm. Now, is red drum the same thing as redfish, Creole? Because that's on my bucket list.
Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, we went to Mexico years ago and went out on a boat, and it was a guided trip, and we caught mahi, or whatever you call them, dolphin. Them things was really good. You stay at these resorts, and you go out on a boat like that. The captain will clean your fish for you if you want them. We only wanted to keep one. Of course, we're down in Mexico. We're not from there. But if you take it into the resort, they'll prepare that and fix that as a meal for you, the fish you caught, which I found that extremely interesting. And Creel says yes, Mark. Now, they was really good. They done a bang-up job doing that. I really like that.
I've had mahi up here at a restaurant before, but that doesn't, we're landlocked here. That doesn't mean I'm having the good stuff. So I wasn't a big fan of the mahi. It was kind of too firm for me, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
What's up, Fisherman Sid? How you doing?
Glad to have you in chat with us tonight. Yeah, I don't. I just like fish, but I want it to taste good too. But I pretty much, I don't think I can ever eat another mackerel. I told you I put them in my live trap, and after a day or so, they're kind of gamey, to say the least.
What kind of mackerel, and where'd you catch them?
Out of a can.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. Not the next day, but the day after. They're a little rough, dude.
They say Spanish mackerel's pretty tasty, so.
Yeah. Fisherman Sid says, I love mackerel and kippers.
He must be from across the pond.
I don't know.
Greg says, Mark, this time of year I can catch catfish and redfish in the same place. Nice.
Wow.
I think he's down there by Creole, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think so. Somewhere down that direction for sure. But yeah, I like to do that. sometime. I've often thought I'd like to go back on another trip down there, but things are going to have to kind of settle down before I leave the country right now, I think. Hey, there's Richard. Says he grew up eating canned salmon and mackerel patties. Delicious. That's what Cindy will fix mackerel patties a lot of time and salmon patties a lot of times. And I love them.
I've never heard of mackerel. I have never heard of mackerel patties until Betty talked to me about them.
Yep. PD, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see.
What's going on, PD? How you doing?
Grill says Greg's about 2 hours south of me.
Wait, I gotta highlight this one. Look at this. There's my man.
You might want to get your eyes checked, my friend.
Hey, just take it. Just take it in. Accept
it. Okay.
Accept
it. But yeah, mackerel patties are good. They're really good. Salmon patties, of course, they were kind of a staple across the world. I think everybody eats mackerel.
Yeah, my mother made them for my father out of the can, so quite a bit.
It is. Now I don't know, but I have a good friend of mine back home. He's a little older than me. Him and his wife, I've known him my whole entire life. And Rosemary cans common carp. Cans them.
Okay.
And it tastes like salmon patties when she makes carp patties.
I've had carp, Lyle. I don't know about all that.
I'm just saying, the way she does it, and the bones, of course, they're pressure cooked, so the bones are gone.
Yeah.
Yep. That was really good. But she cans deer meat, and you can pour it out and put it in a skillet and make a gravy out of it and put it on biscuits in the morning, and it is amazing. I do have that wood catfish. It's sitting right there. Sure is. Here, Petey, let me show you. You should be able to see it right there.
Oh, behind the scenes at Catfish Weekly and Panfish Nation headquarters.
He gave me that if I remember correctly, he gave me that at a catfish conference a few years ago. Red Horse Sucker ground into patties, a couple of eggs, mustard, seasoned cracker is the bomb. I think Jerry Parker would eat anything.
I would try that. I've heard that's pretty good, actually.
Red Horse Sucker. They have sucker days in Nixa, Missouri.
They do.
Down south of Springfield. It's a big event. It's over a whole weekend, and these guys will go out and they gig suckers, and they're panfish. They're not very big, and they close down streets in Nixa, downtown, and you walk through there, and everybody's got a little booth set up, and they fix them in many different ways. You can sample them all and eat them all. But they'll go out at night and they'll gig these things, and they'll build a fire and sit there and cook them up and eat them right on the bank, right at the boat ramps and stuff. Big deal down here.
Back when I was a young man, now the population here on Lake Michigan isn't as great as it once was. We had smelt. They had smelt season, Lyle. You go down to the lakefront in the marinas and you catch them with a net.
Okay.
You throw a big old lead weight out there, and on this weight you have a little trolley system, and you lower your net into the water, and when you see it all full up with smelt, you bring it back in. And as soon as they brought them in, the guys, they'd have their schlitz out there on the bank. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
They dredge them in some seasoned flour, deep fry them, and they'd eat them. None of them would make it home, but that was so good. Head and all, we were eating them back in the day.
Oh, I bet. Richard says he's cooked commons down in a pressure cooker for patties. Pretty good. About the best way to fix the bony things. Yeah. I can fillet a carp and the bones will be gone. There's a trick to it. But my brother-in-law, Freddie, taught me how to do it years ago. And they're not bad if you do them that way, but you got to get rid of the bones. They're just so full of them. Jeremy says, "Don't worry, Lyle. I'll feed you all the good stuff. I'm just not telling you what it is till you're halfway through your second plate." Hey, I had to go around like that one time with mountain oysters, and man, I got deathly sick when I found out what it was.
My goodness.
Yeah, I wasn't
We'll talk
impressed.
backstage because Thanksgiving's coming up. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, dude. That's the best, man. The more you chew them, the bigger they get in your mouth. You can't wait to get rid of them.
Wow. Wow.
It was horrible. Horrible time. Horrible time.
You know, my family being from Eastern Europe, Christmas Eve carp is a thing. Somebody always Christmas Eve is meatless, and one of the main dishes that everybody looks forward to is carp. And the way they would cook is they would scale it, take the fins off, and steak it up into like 2-inch thick steaks, that thick. Then they'd put it in like a big dish, a Pyrex dish or something like that, and put like whole garlic cloves in there and fill it with tomato sauce or tomato juice, and they'd bake it until all those little bones were gone. And that's pretty much how they did it. A bunch of salt, like I said, like whole garlics. They cut it in half, you know, the whole kit and caboodle in there, some onions in there and stuff. And
sounds good to me.
Yeah, I had it like once when I was a kid, and that was enough. They were buying us shrimp instead, so we didn't have to eat that stuff.
I like shrimp.
We know.
That's a little fish, isn't it?
It's a little bug, I thought.
Okay, I'll take it. I think it sounds good too, Creel.
Lyle, I used to get mountain oysters fresh out of the barn, still warm when they hit the pan.
I had a guy that I used to do a lot of hunting on, and he would never take any money. I offered him everything. We'd buy him hams and stuff at Christmas. The catch was if he ever got caught and the rain was coming and he had bales of hay or Sudan, he baled Sudan and he fed it. It was really heavy. If he called, I went, no matter what was going on, because I got to hunt out there all the time.
Uh-huh.
And he, instead of cutting pigs when they was 45 pounds, he'd wait till they was ready to ship. You know, they'd be 250 or so. And my God, we get barrels full of them things, you know, and them guys just go crazy about them. How many you want? I don't want none.
None.
I'll help you do all that, but you can eat my share. I'm not interested.
Well, I was going to tell you after the show is here in Huntley, Illinois, there's a tavern called Parkside, right? And the day before Thanksgiving, all the kids come back from college for Thanksgiving, obviously, and they have what's called the Turkey Testicle Festival. Wow. 2,000 people out in the cold, drinking canned beer, eating turkey balls.
Wow.
I've been to like 10 of them, and I haven't tried one yet.
Good job, man. Lance McCoo guy says, I am cooking steak and shrimp stir fry for dinner tonight. Very nice. Very nice. I like steak and I like shrimp, so. Where did this come from? This is new.
Oh, is it?
It's purple, so it's got to be Cindy's.
Oh, I thought maybe it was a light fest she was showing up.
Tim says I had banquet pot pie. I've had them too, but not recently.
I haven't had a pot pie in a while. That sounds pretty good, actually.
Cindy makes them homemade. They're really good. But a banquet dinners, I can eat them. I prefer not to. Oh, Betty just now got home. She must have messaged us from her truck a while ago.
I think, yeah, she said she was driving home.
I think Dad's making shrimp and okra gumbo this weekend. May have to go visit. I would think so, yeah. That sounds pretty good.
Can you talk him into keeping the okra out of there, Creel?
Oh, she hit a deer.
Oh, no.
Man, I sure hate that.
Maybe Betty Jean will have some jerky for us in Mendota.
Maybe so. Yeah. Well, I hope you're all right, Betty. That's the main thing.
I hope you're okay, Betty.
And I hope your truck isn't tore up too bad. But if it is, that's why we buy insurance.
Yeah, Betty, let us know you're okay.
Yeah, for sure. I told Cindy every night when we leave the lake or even going, we got to watch for deer. And coming back, almost home, I can relate. There was two of them, and all I could see was their backs. They was down in the bar ditch, and they was sitting there. And we got by them. They raised their head up, and there was no traffic it was crossed on the other lane of traffic. And here come a whole bunch of cars. So I would bet one of them, they either run them off or they got right in the middle of the road on somebody.
I got a buddy who just sent me a picture of another deer he had processed. I'm like, oh, so you finally got one this year? He's like, no, this is the second one that was hit out in front of my house. Whatever it takes.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, that's right. Just tell them to make that summer sausage and jerky and keep it coming.
Girl says he gets the slime out of the okra. Cool.
That'd have to help it a little bit.
Betty, look at the bright side. Deer is already tenderized.
Fact.
Hope her truck's all right.
Yeah, I hope so. She hadn't had that very long. And I know she likes it.
She loves that truck.
Yeah. Good for her.
So, Lyle, what do you got going on Monday for Catfish Weekly? Do you know?
I do not know.
Or are the boys keeping it a secret from you again?
They might. I had an idea. I told Cindy today about it. She laughed. She thought it would be funny, but I have to discuss it with Josh probably. I think it's cute. We'll see.
All right.
Great show tonight, Mark. As always, had a good time, man.
Had fun as always. Floats are something that I use a lot of. They definitely help this time of year, 100%.
I agree.
Especially with a little chop on the water, and especially when the wind's kicking up, it's a good way of getting, bait away from the boat, away from the dock, where the fish are, without having a slack line that's going to blow your bait all over the place. So
that is a fact.
It's a good way to swing bait in the wind too, so you can get it across area and help you scan for fish a lot more. So don't be shy. Don't feel like a kid when you're using a float, because that's the way to do it sometimes.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. That is 100% correct, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on them. Some of them are very reasonable. Phil makes some really good floats. They're hard to do, but there is. I bought Cindy some at Walmart that it was purple one day. They had a handful of them, and I just grabbed them all. She's got purple floats now to go along with her purple everything else. So.
This Phil stuff's good, and you got me using those Bob and Tom's?
Robin Bob's,
something like that. Yeah, those are pretty good because you can use them as a spring bobber or a slip bobber. I've been doing those too, but those aren't cheap as well. Floats are expensive, so hold on to them. I'll chase them down if I break off. So
yeah.
Especially when the little ones that I'm talking about, the little weighted Phil ones, are running like $3 a piece. That's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. But you know what? You can buy the foam ones if you want to save some money, and they work okay too. They really do. But if I'm using a foam one and I'm casting to something, I think that I want the weighted ones more than the ones without it.
Yeah.
That's just me on the foam. Now, the other ones I can take either way. But I guess if you're using a big enough jig, it doesn't matter. But I got to tell you, before we leave, Mark, I believe in using the lightest jig that you can get away with. And if that's a 16th or an 1/8 of an ounce, then that's the one you have to use. Again, if you can use a 1/64th or a 1/32nd, I think the drop rate is a lot slower, and I think that will help you put more fish in a boat. But sometimes it don't matter. They just want whatever is presented to them.
It depends what you got to do with the bait. If you got to get it 25 feet down, you're going to want something a little heavier to get
Yeah,
that.
you'd be all day waiting on a 1/64th ounce to get
exactly. So it's definitely got its place. When I'm fishing shallows and stuff, I don't even use a jig head. I'll use a bare hook and just let that bait sail down. I've done that many times too. So yeah, I'm in agreement 100% with you, Lyle, on that.
Bayou State Adventures, welcome. Glad to see you in chat tonight.
Welcome. So tomorrow we got the bait shop on Chad's channel, Fields to Water. Make sure you check that out. We got Catfish Weekly on Monday night, and then we'll be back here again next Thursday.
Wednesday.
Or Wednesday, I'm sorry. I'm still not getting that right, Lyle. And then we'll do another giveaway, right? The Wednesday after that. It'll be the last Wednesday of the month.
Already. Yep.
And that is for members.
Testing out something new.
Yeah. If you want to get in on a giveaway,
jigs this time.
I might have a little surprise to add to that giveaway. So we'll wait and see. But that is going to be for members. So
yep. Just go down below. There's a link so you can join and be a member if you want in on those giveaways. You don't have to join, but we'd appreciate it if you did. And if you haven't liked the show tonight, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. We appreciate all the help we can get. More people we got helping us out like that, we'll get our show moved up a little higher on the food chain with YouTube and get it on front pages and the higher up we get, the better off it is. Thank you, Joe Buck 66. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's all for me, Mark.
That's all for me, my friend. Get out there and fish, folks.
Absolutely. Don't worry. It's going to get colder, so you might as well take advantage of the warm weather and catch you some fish. Night, everybody.
Good night, guys.